Hi, my name is Dr. Kristen Outerman, and I am the program chair for the PTA program here at McHenry County College. And although this year has been a little strange, we wanted to still make sure that we had enough of our information sessions to answer the questions that any prospective student may have regarding the PTA program here at MCC. So today I'm going to try to walk you through some of the information that normally we would discuss in an in-person in-service or information session. And if you have additional questions, please make sure you reach out to me and we can discuss one-on-one things that might work best for you or ways that we can make sure that you are successful in your applying to the PTA program. So first, what I'm going to do is bring up our web page here. That is not our web page. Let's go back here. All right, so starting off with a bang. So this is the PTA program's webpage. It's just mchenry.edu/PTA. If you are on MCC's website and you just type in the search bar, PTA will come right up. You can do PTA Club or PTA, but either one, our webpage will show up. So on this webpage here, what you're going to find is a lot of information on the background of the profession as a whole, as well as what is required for the application to our program. You do notice that right now we do have some changes right here from COVID, and essentially until the local clinics open back up and start accepting people in, we are waiving the observation hours. So they are no longer a requirement. Once the clinics are capable of handling outside people coming in, and that is no longer an issue, then we will reinstitute those observation hours. However, if you are capable of acquiring any of those hours, if you work in a facility or if you already have volunteered at a hospital or organization, you absolutely can complete those hours and turn them in and get some bonus points. Our entire application system is run on a point system, so it has nothing to do with if I like you or not. It has everything to do with what you have done and what you can show to the program and how successful you might be. So we have a couple changes there. The other big change that we have is we are delaying the start of our next cohort. So normally we start in the spring semester of every year, so January. And this year, because of COVID and trying to make sure that we have adequate clinical placement sites for all of our students, that's just not going to happen. And so we are going to be pushing it back until the fall. With that, our application timeline has changed a little bit as well. And so now we will be accepting applications up until April 15th to start in the following August. Now, the students that applied already for our previous deadline of August 15th, assuming that we were going to have the class start in January, they were given a preferential placement. So essentially, we have filled some of the spots with students that applied previously, and the open spots will be remaining open until this April 15th deadline for any student who is looking to apply from here on out. Now, going forward, we're going to maintain this April 15th application deadline and continuing with our fall enrollment and not returning back to the spring start. So a few things that are on here are going to be changing, but we have not changed them officially on the website yet. But those two things are kind of our big changes, the observation hours and the start time. So if we come in here to our admission requirements, in this little tab, really this section right here is going to get you to the majority of the information you'll need to know regarding the PTA program. So this is where we're going to spend a lot of our time today and looking at and discussing. As you scroll down on this first page, there's a little bit of information about the costs, so the total cost of the program. That includes our fees, as well as tuition and books. So for not just the PTA program, but also for the general education requirements that are needed to get the degree in PTA. It takes 70 hours to complete. That's 70 credit hours to complete this program, again, with the PTA courses as well as the general education and support courses. So if you keep coming down, you can see that we have the different fees depending on if you're in district or out of district and out of state or international. To be completely clear, and the question I answer the most when it comes to the tuition is if you are out of MCC's district, but you live in a district that does not have a community college with a PTA program, then MCC is part of the coalition or the group within the entire state that will take those students as in district when it comes to tuition. So say you live in Rockford and Rock Valley College does not have a PTA program. They do not. You could apply to MCC's program and come here at the in-district rate. But if you live in Elgin, where Elgin Community College does have a PTA program, then you would not get the in-district rate. You would have to go to Elgin for your in-district rate. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about that, please reach out to me and we can discuss that further. All right, so licensure and graduation is a really important factor because it doesn't matter if you go through our program and get a degree, but you can't pass your licensure test because then that means you can't work. So the profession as a whole requires a national licensure, and we are no exception to that for the PTA program. And so all of our students upon graduation will need to pass a licensure exam run by the Federation of State Boards of Physical Therapy, and that test is called the National Physical Therapy Examination. They all have abbreviations. So if you wanted to go to the Federation State Boards of Physical Therapy, or FSBPT, you can go to this link right here, fsbpt.org, and that licensure exam is called the NPTE, or the National Physical Therapy Evaluation. And that goes for both physical therapists and physical therapist assistants. You can look at our current occupation rates here, and we have these links to the Department of Labor Statistics. And I need to update these, and I've updated them on our cell sheets, but the salaries nationwide, Chicagoland, and in Illinois specifically have gone up. So those numbers are actually a little bit higher. They're in the low 60s instead of 58,000. So that's always nice to be able to tell people, hey, we actually get to make a little bit more money than it says on here. And then outside the classroom, these links down here will just take you to a bunch of different websites that have some amazing resources on physical therapy. Of course, the American Physical Therapy Association is our national association. They're going to have the most detail when it comes to physical therapy as a whole, as well as the profession of physical therapist assistants. You can use these to contact me, or you can email me directly, and my email is clouderman, Louderman, @mchenry.edu. I recommend that's the easiest way to get a hold of me, to email me at clouderman@mchenry.edu, because that's what I answer the most. Okay, and complaints. This is required here by our accreditation. And if you have any complaints about the program or any of that stuff, this is the information you're going to go to, but I really hope you don't. So let me know if you do. Okay, so I'm going to scroll all the way back up the top. Please don't get dizzy here. Okay, so we're going to go to admission requirements. Now, this admission requirements here is going to tell you essentially how we do our selection and what is required for admission to the program. So our selection for entry, as I mentioned before, is a point system. So your GPA gets you points. Everything is on a point scale, and they all are a little different depending on how important we feel they are to the program. So the GPA, our minimum GPA to enter the program is 2.75, and obviously a 4.0 is going to be the maximum that we would see here. So that's going to range anywhere from 1 to 3 points. Now, if you've taken the general education courses that we'll talk about here in just a little bit, those are going to be what I use to calculate the GPA, not anything else. So say you have taken anatomy and physiology here at MCC, and you also took interior design. Although I think interior design is amazing and some skills that I would really like to have. If you have taken those general education courses, I'm going to utilize those because that's really going to be closer to what we need to do here in the program. So I would look at your A&P GPA, not necessarily elective courses or courses that would go towards a different degree outside of the Associates of Applied Science and PTA. Now, if you have not taken any collegiate courses at all, then I need something. So we're going to look back at high school transcripts and the such. If you have not taken any of the general education courses, but say you have another degree that you're transferring in, you know, a degree in English or something along those lines, then we'll use those collegiate scores for GPA. Ideally, of course, we want to see as many of the core and support courses for the PTA program as possible. We do not have any requirements when it comes to having completed those courses, however. You can come to us straight with no collegiate courses at all. but we don't recommend that because it's a lot of information. Okay, so those are on a 1 to 3 point scale. Then your essay. So you have to write an essay, and to do that, you're gonna, and we'll look at it on another page, you're gonna schedule that through the testing center here at MCC. And that essay can be done at any point in time. You don't have to wait until a certain day or anything, as long as it's done before the April 15th deadline. The essay is going to be answering 2 questions in essay format, not in question format. I don't know how many times I can make sure that people understand that. So don't say number 1 and number 2. Give me an essay. But you want to tell us why we should pick you, why you're good for the student to be enrolled here in our program, and what sets you apart from everybody else that's applying. So essentially, why do you want to be a PTA, and why should we choose you? And those questions are indicated specifically in the application, as well as in the testing center. When you go to do that, they'll be right there for you. Now, of course, it's done in the testing center, so you can't bring any notes in. You can't bring in things like that that would alter potentially your essay. Then this next part here, clinical and patient care experience. So this is what is no longer required because this is part of our observation hours. But say you work in a facility that you work in the PTA program at, or excuse me, the PTA department at Northwestern Hospital. That gives you a deeper understanding of what the profession of PTA is and physical therapy is as a whole. You understand that there's a lot more than just treating the patient, but there's billing and there's documentation and there's housekeeping and, you know, wiping down equipment and doing laundry and all those things that we don't like to think about, but that have to happen in order to have a successful PT department. So if you work in a facility, we give you bonus points. If you have observed in a facility, say instead of working in the PT department at Northwestern, you have volunteered for Northwestern in the orthopedic surgery floor or in the PT department. Now, not in Northwestern as a hospital, because there's lots of things that have nothing to do with physical therapy. But if you volunteer within a physical therapy setting, then you get bonus points because that usually takes a lot more dedication and time requirements than just shadowing. So then that would also get you bonus points of either 2 for working there or 1 for volunteering. And we still give those bonus points. You don't have to do these, but if you do have them, then we would of course accept them. If you have taken all of the general education courses, and again, we'll look at the list of what those are here in a moment. If you've taken all the general education courses and all that's left is PTA program courses, then you're going to get 4 bonus points. You notice that 4 is higher than having a 4.0. That only gets you 3 points. So having taken all of these general education courses are very, very important to us, and we think that that is really going to help you be more successful within the program. So we give a lot of bonus points for that. Again, it's not a requirement. You just get bonus points. If you've taken all but 1, so say you're missing just that second anatomy and physiology course, or you're missing evidence-based practice, and you're only missing 1, you've got everything else, so then you get 2 bonus points. We still think that's really awesome, and you have done a lot of hard work to get to that point, and we want to reward you with a couple extra bonus points there. So moving on down here. So of course, in all of those general education courses, for them to count, you have to have a C or higher. If you do not have a C or higher in all of those courses, then that's not, first of all, it's not going to help out your GPA any. But when you're in the PTA program, you have to have a C or higher to be able to continue on within the program. So if you have anything less than a C, then you would have to repeat that course. And our courses are only offered once a year, which means you would have to wait a year and reapply to the program for special consideration to come back in. That's a little bit more detailed of a conversation, and I'd be happy to explain that to anybody who would like to have a little more information on that. Okay, the next thing down is the interview. So if you have met all of the qualifications so far, you have completed your essay, you have a GPA above that 2.75, you've turned in any observation or work hours that you may have, and you have submitted your application, you meet all of those requirements, then we will send out an invitation to participate in an interview. Normally, we of course would interview in person. This year we are doing virtual interviews. We'll see what happens going forward, if we're able to meet again in person or if we're going to continue with the virtual interviews. But the purpose of an interview is to find out that you have the ability to communicate. Can you talk? Can you hold conversations? Can you ask questions? Do you have good eye contact? All those things that are going to be required to work with patients and to have that rapport that is needed to be successful in our profession. And those can get you a maximum of 3 points as well. Anatomy and physiology, both 1 and 2 here on our campus. So that's Bio 263 and 264, ours, and you can transfer them in from other locations. Those have to be completed within the past 5 years. And the reason we do this is that if you don't use this information, you're not going to remember it. And we rely so heavily on the information that is included in those 2 courses that if you have taken it 10, 15, 20 years ago, and you don't remember any of it, it doesn't do you any good that you've taken it. So we do have that requirement that they have to be completed within the past 5 years of your application. So if you've taken it longer than that, but you passed it and you have a C or higher, we do have some alternative options for you. Please just reach out to us and we can discuss those with you individually. Of course, this 20 hours of observation has been waived, so we're going to go ahead and move right on past that. And then priority is given to in-district applicants, and then out-of-district, and then out-of-state, and then international. And remember, if you're applying from a program or from a community college district that does not have a PTA program, you're still considered in-district. So keep that in mind. But what we do for that is you're just given a bonus point structure as well for in-district versus out-of-district. So that is how that happens. Okay, I hope you don't have any questions because I can't hear them. So the notification of acceptance. So once we determine who has been accepted to the program, then we will send out a notification to those students who have been accepted, and they have to return a letter indicating that you are accepting that position, and we need that letter within 14 days. If you have not been selected for the program, we will tell you where you rank on a wait list. And say you are, the second person on the wait list, we will tell you you're number 2 on the wait list. And then that way you can make some informed decisions of if you're going to wait and hopefully somebody does not start the program, or if you're going to pursue other alternatives. Up until the very first day of classes, if somebody leaves or decides not to start the program, we will pull from that wait list. But after the first day of the program, we are no longer allowed to pull from that wait list, as you would have missed some valuable information. And therefore, if you wish to reapply, you would have to do so the following year. We do not maintain a wait list from year to year, so we do require that you reapply every year. Okay, additional program requirements. So the important thing about this is to understand that these are not required for your application, but they will be required once you are in the program. So in order for you to go onto your clinicals, to have that, actual hands-on experience with PTs, PTAs, and patients, you have to have all of these things. You have to have a physical, you have to show all of your immunizations, a background check, and a drug screen. Now, these are all things that we will do with you in the program, so please don't do these ahead of time. You will have to demonstrate that you have health insurance and that you are CPR certified, and those you will have to do on your own. We don't do those within the program for you. So for the CPR, there are some really great courses here on campus in the non-credit side that we recommend all of our students take. And essentially that has to be for the healthcare provider, not for, Joe Schmo on the street. So just keep those things in mind there. But again, those have to be when you are in the program. And then there's just some information on, passing the courses, what's considered passing, what would require a retake. And then we have the program grading scale. So all of the health professions here on MCC's campus have this, a bit of a skewed grading scale. So we have our passing score as a 75%. And the reason for that is in order to pass the National Physical Therapy examination and to get licensed, you have to have above a 75%. So if you were to pass all of our courses with a 70 and then not be able to pass the licensure, then we are doing you a huge disservice. So all of our courses here on campus have a pass rate of 75% or higher. Now, please realize that that's just the PTA courses. All of the support courses, your biology, English, things like that, those do not have that sliding scale type. They are all going to be a 70% and up for a C. Okay, So then I'm going to come back up here to the top, and I'm going to go over here to the application, so the PTA application. So on here, you will notice that it is applying for our spring 2021 cohort. So the application is right here. You just have to fill this out, include all of your demographics, any colleges that you have attended, including MCC. These right here are the support and core courses that are included in our degree that are not the PTA program courses. So we have Biology 263 and 264. That's your Anatomy and Physiology 1 and 2. English 151, Psychology 151, Speech 151. This is medical terminology. So AOM 135 is medical terminology. HCE 111 is evidence-based practice. And then you need to take a humanities or fine arts course, and you can see those within the course catalog and the courses that fit within that. But that is a choice of yours to take what you feel. So you need to include where you have taken those, the years you have taken them, when that was, was it 2015 in the spring, and then what grade you had from that. All of these grades will be verified, of course, by the PTA program and ensure that you meet the GPA requirements. We do recommend that you transfer any courses over as soon as possible from other colleges or universities because it can be a bit of a lengthy process depending on how many applications the transfer department has to evaluate. And they have to do each one of those on a case-by-case basis. It's not a computer system. It's literally a person that does it. So make sure you get them in early because it can take a while. Obviously, we are in equal opportunity non-discrimination. We follow all of the college guidelines, and that's what it is right there. And then you just need to fill out this form, select agree that you are allowing me to review your transcripts and grades, that I can verify this information. And then you will have a preview your answers so you can verify that you have all of the information correct and you didn't make any errors. And then submit that form and it will securely come to us. So that is the application. Now, this one here. So application process. In this application process, of course, it talks a little bit more about this COVID and the issues or the things that we have changed because of all of the issues we have had from that. You can get to the application again, same location we just were right here. But what I want to do is come down here and go to these essay questions. To complete our essay, as I mentioned, you have to do that within the testing center. And this gives you just a little bit more information on that essay process. So again, the two questions that you're answering in essay form are why are you interested in becoming a PTA and what sets you apart from everybody else that's applying. So just give us a little information about why we should choose you. What makes you so special and why would you be great for this profession? So you can prepare this, you can come up with your ideas, you can write trials, I don't care what you do. But of course, when you come into the testing center, you're going to have to write that from scratch at that point in time. And it's all done through our Canvas system, and so there is spell check and grammar and things like that that are included within there. So to register, you're going to come and you're going to click on this register online. That takes you to the testing center's registration page. You're going to come down here, and I see that I need to, there it is, our PTA application essay. It goes through and talks about a couple of the things you need to do. And then the interesting thing is you got to do it again. You still are saying, nope, that's the only thing I'm wanting to do is the PTA application. And then you're going to choose a date that works for you. And you can see that we have lots of dates. They don't really go that much further. So we will chat with them and make sure that those dates continue on past this month. So you choose a date and then you select a time that works and fill out this information. Make sure that when you come to campus that you have an MCC ID. So if you have not applied to the college to have an ID, you must do so. There is a small fee associated with applying to the college if it's not done through, say, MCC night or one of our events that we have free applications. But otherwise, it's a small fee of $15 or $20. I can't remember exactly. So you need to have your MCC ID. You need to bring a photo identification and show up at your scheduled time here at the testing center, which is in Building A. So as long as you agree to all of that, then you just add this to your card and check out. There's no fee associated with applying to the PTA program as a whole. So that is about all the information I have for you right now. If you have any additional questions or there's something specific you would like to discuss with me, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I am happy to discuss one-on-one with anybody, specific situations and things that are going on, because everybody's a little different. So please reach out to me. Again, my email, I'll put it up on the screen here in just a minute, is clouderman@mchenry.edu. I look forward to talking with you, and thank you for spending your time to learn all this information.